It's Sunday, March 8th, 2020. I was not planning on making a video today, but I thought I better. This is somewhat of an emergency video. Futures market just opened up probably about an hour ago, down over 1,000 points. Oil was down 30%. Right now, currently, it's down about 22%, $32 a barrel. Gold is up right now around $25 an ounce. Silver's up about 25 cents an ounce. North Korea, this comes in from the South Korean military. An unidentified projectile was shot by North Korea. So now we have an oil war taking place. We have this infection taking place. We have North Korea shooting rockets again. It's getting really, really serious. Russia rejected a proposal by OPEC to cut 1.5 million barrels per day of production. Saudi Arabia cut its forward crude price to Chinese customers, but also reportedly looking to raise its daily crude output by as much as 2 million barrels a day. They're signaling to Moscow right now they are not playing games. So we have an oil war taking place right now. And guess who's going to pay the price for this? It's going to be the American oil and gas industry. It's going to be the workers in the gas and oil industry right here in America. And you look at the fracking and shale industry and the massive amount of debt that they have and what this is going to do to them. This is massive trouble coming to oil, gas, fracking, shale, the whole industry across the board right here in America. Big trouble coming. And we're going to witness an epic battle now of Russia and Saudi Arabia taking these numbers way, way down. And again, America is going to pay a very big price here. Oil is now a bigger problem than this virus. I think no doubt we are going to see massive money printing unlike we have ever seen before. We're going to see the biggest bailouts that we have ever seen in our history. And it is quite possible that we're going to see bail-ins, not just bailouts, but we have the potential here in America that we're going to see bail-ins. Remember, these financial institutions, these banks, they're going to look out for themselves. And if the bailouts are not enough, they're going after your money. They are going to do bail-ins. They are going to take the depositors' money. So I would be very, very weary now of the bank and how much money I have in the bank. We quite possibly are going to see bank runs here in America. And that may not be people waiting in line to get their money, but we will see electric bank runs just like the ones we saw in 2008. We're going to see bank closures. Look, just think of the massive bailouts now with all these conferences closing, all these music events closing. These insurance companies that insure these events are going to get wiped out. We look at the damage in Tennessee from the tornado. We look at the $8.5 billion that's going in to fighting this infection. You know, this money is just being printed out of thin air. And what people don't realize is that it has to be paid back. And you and I are in the hook for this massive debt creation. Remember, the Federal Reserve is going to have to print and pump more money, more massive liquidity injections into the repo market. They're going to continue to get in here and buy massive loads of debt. They're going to try to get in and buy this stock market. They're going to have to print money out of thin air. You and I are on the hook. Your kids, your grandkids are on the hook for this massive debt creation. It is going to devalue the US dollar till there's absolutely nothing left. The dollar literally is buying nothing now. And when they're done doing this, we have a real good chance of watching the US dollar collapse, just like every other paper currency that got printed, you know, to the moon. This is what they're going to do. They're destroying the dollar. We didn't want to feel the pain back in 2008, so we had to have a bailout. Nobody is willing to feel the pain. And so here we are in 2020. The debts are much bigger. The bubbles are enormous. The dangers are much, much larger than they've ever been, and they're getting bigger. CNBC today, plummeting oil prices and mortgage rates could boost consumers rattled by infection fears. That sounds good, and it's almost more propaganda that don't worry, falling mortgage rates, falling oil prices, it's going to be good for you. And look, we all want to pay a little bit less for gas. There's no doubt about it. But when people are not working, when people lose 50, 60, 70% on their homes because of this economic collapse, nobody's going to really care about what the rate is on a mortgage or how much a gallon of gas is at this point, because they're going to get wiped out. When you don't have a job, when you lose 50, 60, 70% on your home price, and all the equity is obliterated, it doesn't matter how cheap oil is. It doesn't matter how cheap a mortgage is, because nobody is going to be able to afford it. I'd much rather buy a house for less money, and I can always refinance the house later as rates come down. But at the end of the day, home prices and this housing market are in a massive bubble, and people cannot afford to buy these things no matter how much you cut the rates. This is why we have 2 families living in a house, 3 families in a house, people converting garages so they can, rent garages out so they can pay their mortgage payment. The bubbles are absolutely out of control. So plummeting oil prices and mortgage rates, that's fine and dandy, but it doesn't matter when your house value goes down in half, when you don't have a job. I think we are going to see physical gold and physical silver break free from this paper market, and we're starting to see that today. Isn't it amazing? The more fear that we're seeing in these markets, the more weakness, the bigger cracks. We're seeing a run to the metals. Silver has a long way to go, but I truly do believe that the big gains are going to be in silver. We have a record bond bubble right now, a record stock market bubble, and a record housing bubble. Why do you think central banks have been stockpiling massive amounts of precious metals? You've got to think like a central bank. And if you are not preparing right now, it very well may be too late for you. I know I have friends of friends now who are running to all the stores, spending thousands of dollars on emergency food. They're doing whatever they can now to get caught up. But for many people, it is just going to be too late. There are still people ignoring all of these bubbles. They're ignoring the dangers of this infection. They believe that the government's going to take care of them. They believe that the banks are solvent. They believe that the economy is healthy, that the fundamentals are strong. They believe that the consumer is strong. These people are absolutely brain dead, unfortunately. These people are an absolute la la land. We're getting closer to real price discovery in these markets. And this is going to be a very dangerous time, because people are going to find out that bought into these markets, who trusted the system, who bought into these overvalued assets in these massive bubbles. They're going to find out that they were fooled, they were duped. And they're going to be holding a big pile of paper, while most of you are going to be holding some gold, some silver, some cash. Stagflation is coming, people, and we are going to lose a lot of jobs here in America. We are just being literally assaulted by all different directions here. Oil, the stock market, the infection, the massive debt. And at the end of the day, it's going to be the debt that brings everything down. And you need to be betting against this debt. You need to be your own central bank. You need to be holding real money. You need to have some cash reserves put away. You need to have your debts paid off. You need to have some gold, some silver, and of course, all your food preparations, and most of all, security. We're going to see historical money printing, helicopter money, quantitative easing, the vaporization of the US dollar. And Paper is going to be annihilated. If you don't hold something real, you are going to lose. The debts and deficits are going to just continue to explode. They're exploding right now. You can buy paper all you want right now. You can buy these dips, but you are doing nothing but catching falling knives. I'm going to continue to buy precious metals as long as I can afford to. I believe that we are getting very, very close to a catastrophic financial collapse here in America, a global one. And remember, when things break financially here in America, things are going to break socially on the streets of America. Zero Hedge today. Lebanon announces default on $1.2 billion debt payment in historical first. JP Morgan, the credit and funding markets are starting to crack. What happens when the consumer no longer can borrow money, can no longer live on a credit card, cannot pay his or her grocery bills with a credit card, can't pay their rent with a credit card, can't pay that flat tire with a credit card? They're tapped out. What happens to these people when they are tapped out? Can you imagine? We're not even collapsed yet, all right? We're just getting closer. What happens when businesses cannot borrow money any longer? You're going to see doors closing. Look, I've been saying it for quite a while now. The amount of vacancies in my area, the amount of vacancies in Southern California, the amount of vacancies all over the country that people like you have been messaging me directly or putting in the comments down below. Vacancies all over the place. Retailers closing up, malls closing up. If there is a run on these banks, investors are going to want real gold, not the gold paper they bought. This is why I say you must be buying physical gold, physical silver, not paper. When we start seeing real trouble with these financial institutions, we start seeing bank runs, the investors who bought all this gold and silver paper, they're going to want to be paid in the real physical asset, in the real physical gold, the real physical silver. They're not going to be paid in physical gold or silver. You have to remember this Ponzi scheme that people bought into, these people who bought paper gold and paper silver, for every ounce of gold or silver, they sold 400 pieces of paper. So there's 400 buyers for every ounce of gold. Nobody's getting that gold. That gold will disappear. You will get a piece of paper. You will get possibly, if you're lucky, some cash, which will be so obliterated, so annihilated by then it will have no buying power. Look, if you're not holding the real thing, you're holding paper, whether that's stocks, bonds, or dollars. And I believe that the US dollar is on borrowed time. Yes, I do believe you should have some cash reserves because you're going to need them initially, when this thing breaks, you'll have some buying power with cash. How long that lasts, I don't know. It may not last very long. The dollar is going to be under enormous pressure. This is why I preach that you must be holding real gold and real silver, not paper silver, not paper gold. You shouldn't be 100% vested in dollars. You need to be diversified. You need to be holding these assets. Silver still extremely cheap, but moving up. It's going to have its day. It's going to break loose at some point. Could be next week, next month, next year. I don't know. But it will break loose. Gold will make sure of that because people are going to get priced out of gold. And heaven forbid, when the hedge funds, the billionaires, and the central banks buy up the rest of gold, the prices are going to be untouchable. It will be impossible to get gold. And I believe that's going to really push the price of silver. Look, the ratio is what, 96-1? Silver is a steal right now. You should be buying it. People continue to ask me my recommendations where to buy. I have a link right down below in the description box. SD Bullion. I just got another ounce of gold last week. I did an unboxing. That's who I recommend. Look, I don't care where you get it from. Get down to your coin store today, tomorrow, your pawn shop, your internet dealer, whoever you buy from. I think this is really the most important time in the history of America that you need to be owning gold and silver. So I'm going to wrap this video up, but I want to leave you with this. If you're watching what is taking place right now on this Sunday evening, it's very, very concerning. Watching the futures market down over 1,000 points. I don't know where it's at right now, 998 points, 950, 1,000. I don't know where, this thing is all over the place. Watching gold move up like it is, these are some serious bellwethers. We are getting very, very close to something very, very big happening. The entire globe now, there's so much uncertainty, so much fear. People are going to lose faith in these financial institutions all across the world, including right here in the United States of America. Just think about what we are watching right now. We have this massive infection all over the globe now. We've got an oil war with Saudi Arabia and Russia. We got North Korea shooting missiles. And we've got a stock market now that is finally being exposed for the Ponzi scheme that it is. Many people have been suckered and fooled into these markets. Many people have for decades just had faith that these markets could never be destroyed, that the dollar could never collapse. And you're all being shown some serious warning signs right now that things are much more fragile than anybody thought. Most of you watching this know that these markets are extremely fragile, have been fragile. They are a Ponzi scheme. And now, with everything happening, the markets are being exposed for all the fakery and the foundation of these markets being built on quicksand. And people are now starting, you notice how, the paper millionaires have kind of shut up, disappeared. Nobody's bragging to you about their 401k or their IRA. People are getting a little nervous now. Yet I still see people on Facebook and social media bragging about what they're eating, bragging about their new patio furniture, their new leased car, their new shoes that they bought on a credit card. All this idiocracy that we see. People are still acting like complete morons. Yet these are the same people who have no idea what's going on tonight in these markets. The people out there taking pictures, of the party, of the champagne and their expensive martinis. These people have no idea what's going on right now. You do. And this is a time that you should be very, very concerned. And these people who continue to post on social media like there's absolutely no problem in the world. These people are probably sitting home hungover right now, or they're probably out running up their credit cards, exposing themselves to an infection, and exposing themselves to more debt. These people are absolute zombies. And reality is coming. And these people are going to be wiped out. They are going to be taken by surprise. They are in such a coma. They have no realization of the danger that they are in. This is not the time to be a big shot on social media. This is not the time to be buying houses or leasing cars or running up your credit card. This is the time to hunker down. We are going to go into an economic fight here, okay? This is going to be real serious. We have never been tested, as a group of people. None of us, anybody watching this, more than likely did not live through the Great Depression. Maybe there's a few people out there that were very young, but for the most part, you and I did not live through the Great Depression. Our grandparents did. We have not been battle tested. We have not gone through hard times. We have plastic cards that can get us something, buy us something, put a Band-Aid on an accident real quick because we have a plastic card to fix it and temporarily hold off the pain. I believe that we're going to feel a lot of pain here, and the credit cards might get shut off. People are going to get tapped out, and people are going to feel pain. People are going to be tested. You need to really pay attention to what's going on now, unlike any other time in history. This is a very, very dangerous time. And for the people out there that don't believe this, hey, I don't know what to tell you. I do not know why you're watching this video. If you don't believe that these markets are in big trouble, if you don't believe that this infection is a huge threat to America, if you don't believe that debt is a huge threat to America, the biggest threat to America is the debt. If you don't believe that money printing and quantitative easing, repo injections, corporate buybacks, and 0% interest rates are dangerous to this country, I don't know what to tell you. You need to go watch cartoons because this isn't for you, all right? We're heading into some real serious times here, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank every one of you for taking a few minutes out of your day watching this. Share this video. There are still people waking up, and there are going to be people that continue to wake up, but they are running out of time. Make sure you use your time wisely. Continue to prepare. Worst case scenario, you got extra beans, rice, water, and security. What's the harm in that? But most people cannot afford for me to be right. And I think I'm going to be right. I think you're going to be right. And I think we're going to see the biggest collapse the world has ever seen. God bless you. Have a great week.